Welcome back, my friend, to the MA English Cafe. Today, we're diving into a topic that I think is incredibly important, especially with everything going on in the world: how to stay motivated during the toughest times. Jenny, this is something I'm sure we've all faced, right? Those moments when it feels really hard to keep going.
Absolutely, Ben. It's a universal challenge. Whether it's with language learning, work, personal goals, or just everyday life, we all hit those walls where motivation seems to disappear. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to lose that spark that pushes us forward. I've definitely had my share of those moments.
Me too. And it's not just about big, dramatic crises. Sometimes it's the grind, the daily routine that just feels heavy. You know, you're trying to learn English and you've been practicing every day, but then one day you just feel like you're not making progress and you want to quit. That's when motivation really gets tested.
Exactly. That feeling of stagnation, of hitting a plateau. For me, a big part of staying motivated is remembering why I started in the first place, reconnecting with that initial passion, that initial goal. What was it that made me excited? Sometimes just a simple reminder of that can be enough to reignite a little bit of that fire.
That's a great point, reconnecting with your why. I often find that when I'm struggling, it's because my focus has shifted from the goal itself to the difficulties of the process. So stepping back and reminding myself of the bigger picture helps a lot. It's like, okay, this exercise is hard, but why am I doing it? Oh, right, because I want to communicate fluently.
And also, breaking things down into smaller, manageable steps. When you're facing a huge challenge, it can feel impossible. But if you tell yourself, okay, I just need to do this one small thing today, it becomes less daunting. That small win can then build momentum. For English learners, maybe it's just committing to 15 minutes of listening instead of feeling like you need to study for 2 hours.
Absolutely. Small wins are incredibly powerful for motivation. They create a positive feedback loop. You accomplish something small, you feel a little better, and that gives you the energy to tackle the next small thing. It's about building a chain of successes, even tiny ones. Another strategy I've found helpful is focusing on consistency over intensity. It's better to do a little bit every day than to try to do a lot once a week and then burn out.
I agree. Consistency beats intensity every time, especially with something like language learning. It's like showing up even when you don't feel like it, just putting in the time. And speaking of showing up, if you're enjoying our chat about motivation, please remember to like this video. It really helps us reach more English learners who might be looking for a boost, just like you.
Exactly. Every like and every comment helps us keep doing what we love. So, beyond breaking things down, what about seeking inspiration from others? Sometimes hearing how someone else got through a tough time can be incredibly motivating. Reading success stories, listening to podcasts.
Yes, definitely listening to podcasts, but genuinely surrounding yourself with positivity, whether it's people, books, or audio, can make a huge difference. Sometimes you just need to borrow someone else's motivation until you find your own again.
You know, another thing about staying motivated during tough times is managing expectations. Sometimes we set these incredibly high standards for ourselves, and when we don't meet them, it's easy to get discouraged, like expecting to speak English perfectly after just a few months.
Oh, that's so true, Ben. Perfectionism can be the enemy of progress. It's important to recognize that setbacks are normal. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has bad days, and everyone faces difficulties. It's not a sign that you're failing, it's a sign that you're trying. Embracing the learning process, including the struggles, is key.
Exactly. Shifting your mindset from I failed to I learned something. Because even when things go wrong, there's always a lesson in it. And that brings me to the idea of resilience. Motivation can ebb and flow, but resilience is about your ability to bounce back. It's less about always being up and more about not staying down for too long.
Resilience is crucial, and often building resilience means accepting help when you need it. You don't have to go through tough times alone. Leaning on friends, family, or even a community like our MA English Cafe listeners can provide that extra push or perspective you need. Sometimes just talking about what's demotivating you can lighten the load.
That's a huge point. Community support is incredibly powerful. Just knowing you're not the only one feeling a certain way can be a huge relief. And then there's the physical aspect. We often overlook how much our physical well-being impacts our mental state and motivation. Getting enough sleep, eating well, and exercising, these aren't just good habits. They're foundational for staying energized.
You can't pour from an empty cup, right? If you're constantly tired or not looking after yourself, it's almost impossible to feel motivated. Simple things like taking a short walk, getting some fresh air, or making sure you're properly hydrated can make a surprising difference to your mindset. And for our listeners, while you're getting motivated with us, please remember to subscribe to the MA English channel. Your support keeps these conversations going and helps us reach more learners around the world.
Yes, please subscribe. It makes a huge difference. So, beyond the physical, what about celebrating small victories? We talked about small steps, but actually acknowledging them. Like if you managed to have a short conversation in English you were nervous about, or if you finally understood a difficult grammar point, celebrate it. Even a mental high five.
Absolutely. Acknowledgement is huge. We're often so quick to criticize ourselves for what we didn't do, but we forget to praise ourselves for what we did achieve. Celebrating those small wins reinforces the positive behavior and makes you want to keep going. It's like giving yourself a little reward system.
It's building that internal cheerleader, which is so important when external motivation might be low. And sometimes the toughest times are also opportunities for incredible growth. You know, when you push through something difficult, you come out stronger and with new skills.
That's a really powerful way to look at it, Ben. Tough times forge resilience and reveal strengths you didn't even know you had. So let's talk about specific strategies our English learners can apply when their motivation dips.
Okay, first, I'd suggest having a motivation toolkit ready. This could be a playlist of inspiring songs, a folder of encouraging quotes, or even a list of all your past achievements in English. When you feel low, you go to that toolkit. For example, I have a list of all the difficult English words I learned early on that seemed impossible at the time, but now I use them easily. It reminds me of my progress.
That's brilliant, a ready-made pick-me-up. Another strategy is to change your environment. If you're stuck studying in the same place and feeling demotivated, try going to a cafe, a park, or even just a different room. A change of scenery can sometimes spark new energy and perspective.
Definitely. A fresh environment can lead to fresh ideas. And speaking of fresh, what about finding an accountability partner? Someone who shares a similar goal, like learning English, and you check in with each other regularly. Just knowing someone is expecting you to show up can be a huge motivator.
Accountability is huge. It adds that external push when your internal one is weak. And setting a clear, non-negotiable minimum effort for yourself on those tough days. For example, today, even if I don't feel like it, I will listen to English for at least 10 minutes. It's about maintaining the habit, even if it's just a tiny spark.
That's really smart. It keeps the chain from breaking. Also, reviewing your progress periodically, not just daily, but maybe once a month. Look back at where you started. Listen to an old recording of your speaking, or look at notes from weeks ago. You might be surprised how much progress you've actually made, even if it doesn't feel like it in the day-to-day.
That's excellent for long-term motivation. It reminds you that the effort isn't in vain. And finally, embracing self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. If you have a day where you lose motivation, don't beat yourself up. Acknowledge it, and then gently redirect yourself back to your goals. Everyone needs a break sometimes, and that's okay.
Self-compassion is vital. It's a marathon, not a sprint, especially with language learning. It's about being patient and persistent. We hope these strategies help you stay motivated no matter what challenges you face.
Absolutely. And to all our listeners, we'd love to hear from you. What are your favorite quotes or personal mantras that help you stay motivated during tough times? Share them in the comments below. Let's build a collection of inspiring words together.
Fantastic idea, Jenny. Thank you for joining us today at the MA English Cafe. We'll see you next time.